Hello and welcome to the Oxygen Kingdom. The kingdom has been eating barbecue meat for quite a while. The king's been happy with that, but his tastes have gone up. He's been dreaming of a new idea. This idea is a hamburger. For this hamburger, I'm going to need better meal preparations. I need a gas range. I'll start the research on that. Every morning, the king takes his rocket up and sends down a rover. In order to make these burgers, we also need to start growing sleet wheat. Now, sleet wheat is something that needs to be very cold, but if we want to farm, we also need to push in water. We need to make sure that water doesn't freeze. So we're going into this very cold area. We're going to be creating and closing a vacuum based on whether this farm needs to be cooled or not. Over here, the carbon dioxide is far too cold, or the environment is far too cold, rather, for the carbon dioxide. So we're heating it up a little bit. We're going to pump with a pressure sensor. If the pressure is high enough, like it is right now, it's sending that towards our base, so the king can go on lots of flights, which helps us out because that sends more rovers down on our world. Doing a little bit of sensing for hydrogen right here, so that we can put some of that into this hydrogen generator if it exists. We've got to do a little bit of change over here for hydrogen to be sent over. If we want any of those hamburgers, we're going to want to grow some sleet wheat. So we're starting at that process now. Water is incoming. The water is far too warm, so we're warming that or cooling that off with these doors. When the water needs to be cooled, the doors are shut. When it doesn't, the doors are open. And hopefully that's going to result in some nice sleet wheat here. To keep up with the king's diet, we bring over the baker. Obviously, they're really good in the kitchen, but don't let them help out growing any of the stuff that they're actually cooking with. Since we're switching to burgers soon, I don't think there's any point in growing berries. One of the things we need for the gas range is natural gas, so we're opening up this natural gas geyser. The team over here has been busy with pips, planting these Saturn critter traps, and making lots of hydrogen in the process. Get a pip over here. As long as they don't go into the trap itself, they'll continue on. And we'll continue getting more Saturn critter traps all over the place. We've got our natural gas geyser sealed up. We've got a pump in there with the Atmos sensor, airlock, infinite storage of gas. All that's left is to take a natural gas line from here all the way to our future gas range. We're now growing some water weed. This is going to give us access to lettuce, which is necessary to make those little burgers. Now that we're growing all the things that we need, it's time to update the kitchen with the gas range. Over on this asteroid, we've got more Saturn critter traps. And we're now over here. We're going to eventually be planting more and having to pump out hydrogen. Getting tons of hydrogen, and more of that, the less the dupes have to be on the manual generator. So getting a mix of carbon dioxide and hydrogen from this world, filtering it in the other world, and either using it for creating rovers or power. Natural gas is on the way out. I'm just making sure everything is pure natural gas. I see a little piece of oxygen. We'll deal with that, but I think that was the only piece, and the only piece that we'll get from this point on. Some frost buns are being made. That's one of the ingredients to the frost burger. I'm able to make pepper bread, stuffed berries, but the king wants his frost burgers. So we'll have to make some of that. Make sure we've got plenty of lettuce growing in our farm and barbecue as well. Water is running low. We're going to have to focus on that for a little bit before we go back to the Frostburger situation, because we definitely do not want to run out of water. So we're going to start off just by consuming this a little bit, and then we'll figure out how to turn this into water. The giant hunt has started. This is going to increase our meat and ultimately barbecue meat. It does highlight to me, though, we may want to automate this process. Very exciting moment. The baker cooks the very first piece of Frostburger. Baker opens the door, and there it is, the first piece of Frostburger. Of course, the king decides the only one that's going to be able to consume that is him. Frostburger goes through the conveyor line and makes sure its temperature goes down before it goes into storage. We've got a hydrogen spill, and that is thanks to this guy right here. I think we want to put an infinite storage here and as well as one over here to deal with this situation. It's really nice to see some of this magical hydrogen all around, but not around our living area. That is not preferred at all.
Oh, hello everyone, this is Jer. Well, this has always been Jer, but I'm taking a moment here just to reflect on my thoughts of this playthrough so far. Because I've got to turn things around. I've got pink stuff all over, and that's been solved. Well, not really been solved, but I cut this pipe here, so that should stop happening. This is the first time I have brought in a pipe from another world that is getting a mix of resources. There's hydrogen right now, but there's also carbon dioxide coming in from here. And I was trying out to filter, and I could see this system isn't going to work. I've got an idea how to fix that, but that's not the current priority. I want this hydrogen to get out of the way of the living area. That's going to happen naturally over time. A pump over here is either pushing that towards this storage, and there's 500 kilograms times 6. So we've got, the fact that I cut that pipe over here is not really a problem. I've got hydrogen, lots of hydrogen for power generation. So that's a good thing. Now, the problem I'm having is I'm not consuming liquid, or my cache of water is here. So I very, very quickly have to solve that problem. But thankfully, because the king is up every day, at least with all that carbon dioxide, we had a little bit of water shortage, so I had an outhouse, but I think that's temporarily been fixed. Yeah, I've got to get things online because I want this base to go further than I've ever gone before. And often in the past, when things start to get shaky, that's when they go bad. So I really have to fix a few. I think there's really just one main key. I want to have a huge source of water. Anyway, let's go back to the Adventures of Oxygen Not Included, or the Oxygen Kingdom. Our store of water is getting really low. We need to convert this polluted water to regular water. We have a few water sieves for that, so we're pushing that in. And that, along with the last of the water that's from here, is going to be going out to the kingdom for consumption. But that means from this point on, we rely on this one geyser for all of our water needs. Now we're feeding Sleet Wheat. We're producing more oxygen than we've ever have before. So to try to accommodate all of this, I'm building a new building called a geotuner. I'm going to see what this can do for getting a little bit more water from that geyser. The king has not been happy. He's been suffering with hydrogen all over his skin. But he goes to the kitchen. To his excitement, he finds some Frostburger. This is his first time eating it. He's so excited to see what it tastes like. Munch, 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 munch. I don't know what I think. Yep. It's a good thing. Every time the king goes up in space, he shuffles his seating arrangement around. Sometimes his sleeping accommodations as well. Okay, he's back to sleeping in the right place this time. Well, that makes the king happy. As long as we get this hydrogen out of this area and never let this escape in the common area again, he'll probably be all right. So I've got my geotuner. I want to concentrate on getting a little bit more water from this cool slush geyser, since that is going to be our main water source from this point on. I do see that this neighboring asteroid has both a cool slush geyser and a cool salt geyser. If we're going to survive for a longer period of time, it'd be very useful to get access to those. Now there's one issue. I do believe those are high up, because I see a lot of brine up here, and there's exposure to space. So I might actually want to have that protected with bunker tiles. So while the dupes have some extra time, we're creating some steel, and we'll be sending that over to the other world when we get enough of it created. Well, I do some experimentation on this geyser to get a little bit more polluted water. The rest of the team builds a heat exchange over here. The idea is we want to push this cool liquid through this and any other cool liquid to cool off this block, and then when the cool line that's going all around the kingdom needs cooling, it can go into this huge granite block to take in some coolness, and in the process warm up this liquid, because it's going to break our pipes if we push it through a water sieve at freezing temperatures. Over on this asteroid we have new atmosuit checkpoints, this time at the top, because we want to get to the top of this asteroid, find out a way to get all that liquid and get access to those geysers that are there, and find a way to protect them, and bring that back to the teleportation equipment so we can send it back to the homeworld and have a lot more water over there than we currently do. Now on top of this heat exchange is going to be a place to to warm up the liquid in case it's not warm enough, doing a temperature check before it goes out. But the idea here is by the time any of this cool liquid leaves this area, it should not be freezing. On top of that water warming area, I'm just actually measuring the water now. I think we've got enough. Let's turn that off. I've got the process to both convert polluted water to regular water, as well as brine and salt water to regular water. So by the time it leaves here, we've just got regular water that can go into our system. All I need to do now is make sure I tap into all the geysers. Let's check on the team on the other asteroid. They're making progress here. We'll give them a fire pole so they can get up here and down, or down anyways, a little bit quicker. Now we're installing all the piping for all this to work, leaving a little bit of room so that I can bring the cooling line down, have an input and an output of that, so that once this block gets really cool, it's going to be a source for cooling of this whole place. We reached this wet area of this asteroid. We're going to go unlock this geyser. That's going to hopefully gush more liquid down. In the meantime, we can currently pick up any of the cool water that's here and send it towards the base. Our steel production is shut down because of lack of lime, but we've got lots of fossil in this world, so we'll start exploring this oil biome a little bit more so we can get all that fossil back. We are still having a hydrogen problem, so I built a second pump that's a little bit lower with automation to turn off. Hopefully that's going to be a little bit better than this pump that's higher up here. Let that run for a little bit and see where we get. The water system has been turned on. So we've got water from this geyser going into this heat exchange, being heated up here if it's needed. If it's polluted water, it's being treated here. If it's brine or salt water, it's being treated here. And then we've got infinite storage here, and then ultimately
is going to be sending it out to the actual kingdom for use. A little bit of water or polluted water that's in this line will be used up. We'll get rid of these 2 water sieves afterwards. Over on this asteroid, we've got a cool salt slush geyser that's freed. We've built a pump, it's powered, but we're just waiting for a pipe. We're going to have insulated pipe when we go through the main area here, heading towards the other asteroid, where we'll have lots more water over there. I briefed the king on the great water system we have, and he didn't seem that exciting. The royal flush continues to work. Oh joy. Really? But he says he's dreaming up even better and more important ideas. More important than water, I'm not so certain. But you know what? I'm going to go to bed, and I'll worry about his concerns another day. I'm just really happy we've got this new water system, cleaning out water. We even have a temperature exchange and an infinite storage of liquid water, which is going to be very useful for our kingdom going forward. Well, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I will see you in a future episode where we'll continue expanding and enhancing this space and seeing what the demands of the king are going to be. Until then.